Good morning, FlossTube. It's Chrissy, finally a farm girl, and it is Sunday, March 12th, 2023. This is going to be a fun FlossTube. It's going to be a market recap. I have two FFOs back from the framer. I have haul. I have whip. I just have a wealth of information and updates, and I just am glad to have you here today. So I know I'm going to need my readers because I have so many things that I want to make sure I get the right details and bring it to you. I also look a little different in here, and I hope it's not too echoey, but when I got back from market, I had made a commitment before I left that when I got back, I wanted to give my home a little attention. And so I wanted to paint in our family room, which is also attached to our kitchen, which is also attached to by where the pantry is, as well as the laundry room. I knew it was going to be a bigger project, a bigger undertaking, but I accomplished quite a bit, and I'm very happy and pleased with the results. So I was able to, for FlossTube, my husband was so awesome early this morning, and we could get some pictures back up, not only for, so y'all have something to look at, but also because it keeps them safe. On the wall is far safer than with pets and animals and cats and walking all over them. So, okay, there's just so much to share. So I'm just gonna dive in, and I wanted to keep everything so authentic that I didn't want to write notes down. I just want to have you travel back in time with me to Nashville Needlework Market 2023. And the best way for me to do that is to just talk to you. Okay, so first, there was just one awesome moment after another. I can't describe it. I thought StitchCon was the highlight of my stitching journey, but market, it just was something that is hard to describe, and others described it probably better than I could, many designers. It was exactly, for the most part, what they described. You were going to have busy moments, and then you would have lull. I never did stitch. I never felt comfortable sitting down and just pulling my stitching out when it was maybe slower in my shop. But for the most part, we were consistently busy. It was a successful very first needlework market, and I have so many to thank. First and foremost, a new newsletter will go out after this, and it'll, give you more photographs and things like that to go look at. If you have not subscribed, I encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter because it's a fun place to find out possibly what's next on my stitching journey, where I might be. That was one of the, I guess, hugest eye-opening experiences, was that Nashville Needlework Market was not only like a stitcher's dream, it was also so, there were so many networking opportunities. And even though I couldn't leave my room too much, my sister kicked me out on a few occasions, so I did get to go meet and do some networking outside of our shop. But at the same time, I really wanted to be there in case those that came in. So, I was torn. Okay, so let's go to when we left. Well, first, picked up the van Wednesday, loaded it up, and thank goodness when I got there to the rental place, thank goodness they had upgraded me because they were out or something, but to a beautiful van, and everything fit perfectly. My dad came over and used his, I'm a good packer, but he's a great packer. So he made sure everything fit perfectly, still allowing room for my sister to jump in Atlanta. And I will say it was really difficult to go to sleep Wednesday night. That was probably the hardest thing. I left about 5 o'clock on Thursday morning. I made it to my sister's in Marietta, Georgia at around noontime, or maybe quarter to noon. Ate lunch with her at her house. She was gracious enough to go pick us up a lunch, and then we had to quickly jump over to her local car rental so that we could add her as a driver, and that was probably well worth the 15 minutes it took to do that. So then she could be on the contract, and she drove the rest of the way, which was about 3 hours and 20 minutes from Marietta to Nashville. And I think my nerves kind of kicked in, kind of heavy at that moment. But I will say that the Embassy Suites was so well run that I was impressed. And I know that there were several who have been to market before who said that they saw huge changes. And I think that that's fabulous. I was warned that they had in the past very little carts. And when we got there, the woman that was basically kind of guiding all of us as we were pulling in with van loads, she had helpers ready to go. She had carts ready to go. And they helped us unload and do everything and get it up to the room and get it dumped in the room, which was pretty much what they did, is we just got it off the carts and they were back to help someone else. I mean, it was very, very nice. So that's where we landed first, and we got our bearings for just a few minutes. We kind of looked around the room, figured out where we wanted to start, and then we went for it. And we got a good chunk of the bones of the room set up until we decided we were going to go down and grab something to eat. That is, I had, my first thank you is going to go to Jean of Brick City Cross Stitch, just because she was very busy herself. She is my LNS, but she is also one of my biggest supporters and encouragers, and she just always has my, she just is always thinking to make sure that I'm okay. And knowing this was my first time, I just felt like she was my little mother hen that, in such a good way, that was constantly checking in on me, making sure everything got to the room, making sure I was doing well, checking on my sister. And then, there were so many stories that I could share. We absolutely enjoyed our time. And the fangirl in me, it was going all the time. We enjoyed our first dinner and sat down and joined Jean and her group, which was Cheryl from Glendon Place. And there was Dinky Dyes, which was so cool. And we sat, and my sister and I played cards for a bit. And I'm just so glad we did. We played a childhood game that my grandmother had. Oh, she was an aggressive player, but we laughed. And that, I think, we just laughed so hard. And we just played. We were only going to stay for a little bit. And what's so funny is we were both thinking, my sister and I, we really just needed to get going, and we just didn't want to learn a new game. We were exhausted. We'd worked really hard in the room for a good chunk. And then they told us the name of the game was Nerds. And this was a game my sister and I played as kids for years and years and years. To the point where I told the ladies, oh my gosh, move over, I'm the Nerds queen, because we would keep track in my family. Let me just tell you that I did not end up leaving the table as the Nerds queen. Far from it. I think I am in the negative of about 70. But that's all right, ladies. You watch out for next year. That was an exciting moment. That leads me to the part where I will be going to Nashville Needlework Market next year, and you can find me in room 221, and I hope my sister will be right by my side. So that leads me to the next thank you. I probably won't be able to say this without tears, in my eyes. There's no way that I can thank my sister enough for what she did. Do I still look tired? Yes, I am still tired. She gave up she's a busy mom. She's a busy businesswoman. She has a job that keeps her busy on the weekends. So for her to give up her time and for her to go do this with me was probably one of the most special blessings that I've ever had. She knew if she didn't, that's okay too, but she really helped me stay calm. She definitely kept me focused. She kept me laughing, and she did things that I just probably felt stuck. You want everything to be perfect, but she crawled under tables. Before market, I've mentioned before, she did the website, and she did the newsletter, and she has worked with my husband to make sure that your and the shop owner's shopping experience would go off without a hitch using Square, so that all the shop owners were entered, so that when they walked in the room, she was going to run the Square and she was going to run the purchasing, so that I could just be me and I could just say hi to everybody. And even that felt a little nervous it was nerve-wracking the first couple of times, and she just stood up and just walked right over as if she's been in this needlework community as deep in as I have been for years, and she just did phenomenally. And that really helped me feel that I had a place there, that I was ready, and to just know that my sister was a big part of it. Like I said, it was just an awesome 4 days of sister time. She had purchased something both very special. So I had given her a gift for going with me, and she had ordered, which I know you're not going to be able to see, but she had ordered us some very special necklaces, and she wrote the most beautiful letter. But it's my mom's writing engraved that says "Love, Mom." So it's immediately I knew it was my mom's writing, and we both wore them through the whole thing, because this is a journey. This is part of my journey that my mom and I shared this passion for years. So to have something of her with me again, my sister just came full circle on everything. And she's a smart cookie. So where she needed to troubleshoot, she did, and she got it taken care of. She was my runner, and she ran my shop when I got to go out, and I got to network, and I got to go fangirl. And so that is probably the biggest thank you I have, besides that, to my family at home. So Philip and Randy did phenomenal. The Lord seems to work that way. It seems that when Philip really needs to do well, he does, and he is just so loved and protected. And so Randy, who not only was taking care of Philip 100% and the pets and all of that jazz, was also at home for if something ran out. And it did, and I sold out, and that was interesting. So he did become very busy at home, printing what we needed, because the commitment we made was if we ran out, the shop would have free shipping, and we would get it in the mail by the next day. So that led to my postal worker slash, I guess you would say he was definitely in the background of all my props and display, and that would be my dad. And again, what a great journey to take with all these people. And my dad was on call, that if mail needed to go out or patterns or anything, he was going to take care of that for us, and he did. So he made just a couple of wonderful things for my display, and I think I've shared a couple of pictures of it now. But to have those guys at home, we had a group chat going that my sister had set up so all of us could talk at the same time, and we kept these guys involved as much as we could. what was going on. I think my sister a little better than me, because my husband's like, yeah, I had to learn that from your sister, but that's okay. So when all was said and done, at the end of market, that last day became incredibly emotional to me, because it was winding down, and I've always felt connected to Jean of the Attic, maybe mostly after my mom passed, and we had started really just enjoying watching her. And when I saw her at market, I was speechless. I was speechless, because I have such great respect for her, and she's so lovely, and she's so sweet. And I don't know how somebody that has probably one of the most successful needlework shops in America stays so humble and so kind, and doesn't mind that I just wanted to hug her. And then on Sunday, she came down to my shop. That was huge to me. I'm sure I was emotionally winding down. And my sister calls me because I'm out shopping, and she's like, Chris, Jean is here. I'm like, okay, well, tell her I'll be right there. And I love Jean from my LNS. She's so special to me. But I knew my sister, she had to clarify. She says, no, Chris, both Jeans. And I knew she meant that both of my favorite Jeans were in my shop. So as quickly as I could, I tried to get down to my shop. And I went to the wrong floor because I was so excited. So I think I ended up on the 5th floor, and I'm on the 2nd floor. And I couldn't keep, I was just over the moon. So when I came in, both Jeans were there. The other one from my LNS had left to do more business. And Miss Jean from the Attic was sitting on my couch. And, you know, my sister wanted to grab a picture of us. And so I told her I'd sit right next to her, and, you know, we held hands, and all I can say is, you know, she's very special. And I know you all know that. I know that so many of you that have spent quality time with her know that and know what I'm talking about. So anyways, thank you, Jean. Thank you for stopping into my little shop in 221 and spending time with me. It was a moment I won't forget. So, okay, that leads us to Friday night, which I know I'm all over the place. But Friday night, we opened at 4. And then it went till 8 o'clock. And then we were going to go to dinner after. Or no, we did, I'm sorry. We did like an earlier dinner that day, so we would be ready for 4 o'clock. Okay. Now I'm ready. 4 o'clock, there was a line out the door, and I didn't know where it was for, but it ultimately, Yarn Tree was right next to me. So definitely helped with foot traffic. My room was a little bit in the nook, and I think I love that spot. I really do. I really love that spot. And Yarn Tree was right next to me. And so those were lined out the door to go into Yarn Tree for exclusives. And so that leads me to my next thank you. My thank you here is to Yarn Tree, the group of 4, husband and wife and Erica. I mean, just an amazing group of people. Not only did they give me my first like wholesale type opportunity, but meeting them in person, seeing them, Beth and Larry, and just what a sweet group. What an absolute sweet group. Very concerned about my first time at market. So lovely to come over and talk to me when everything was over, check on me and make sure I'm okay. This is great customer service, guys. This is somebody that put on this huge wholesaler trade show. I mean, what a job. In the past, I have done I have put on in my former job when I worked for a roofing industry, I put on a big company picnic of 700 people. I can't tell you the undertaking that is. This is so much more than that. So much more. and they pulled it off with grace. And I cannot thank them enough for, checking in on me and all the hard work they did. Oh my gosh, the organization is just incredible. So we got our goodie bags, and we had our badges, and we had our aprons on, and 4 o'clock comes and the doors open. And so it was it was exactly like my meeting said, and before I knew it, we had a consistent flow, many people picking up, or shops picking up their pre-orders. And it was a great introduction to what Saturday was going to be. And then Saturday was a steady stream of guests coming in, meeting people, spending time, chatting. So many. We're trying to get so much accomplished, but it was just so great. Let me tell you, did I tell you that first thing morning, when I went down for breakfast the next morning, I was eating breakfast with Erica Michael's designs and didn't even know it. That's how it goes. There are so many there that you don't even realize who you're sitting next to half the time. I ran into Elaine of Annabella's. I loved her pink hoodie. I could spot her from across the Embassy Suites. We got a big hug. I saw Christine from Hollis Hands Creates, and I got to meet her in person. We didn't get to spend as much time together, but I got to meet her, some of her family. I mean, it was constant. It was really constant. And Saturday was filled with all the shops and so many FlossTubers. So let me now start to dive into all the stuff. I'm going to go ahead and pop in my one and only whip so I can move it out of the way. When I got home, I didn't stitch until Wednesday. I got home late Monday, and the only thing I knew my brain could handle was a prairie schooler. So I did go ahead, since I missed Saturday night Santa stitching with Stitch Elinda and Tina of Team Agner, I started working on that. So you've seen it several times, and this is my Christmas Eve by the Prairie Schooler. And I am this far. So I have accomplished quite a bit, and I am over here now filling in this last house. And then I have a few more snowflakes. Oops, let me see if I can get this for you. Ooh. A few more snowflakes, and then all the snow fill-in at the bottom. So I will leave that for Saturday nights, and possibly at my dad's, or get back to some model stitching, because we have summer releases. This is Market, but there's other things around the corner, isn't there? So that was my one and only whip. But I also, because we're 25 minutes in and I haven't shared much stitching yet, so I did want to share. I shared with you that I was painting. So a few things have come down off the wall. Well, all of them did, but this one, my biggest seller at Nashville was wool and flax. That was the biggest seller. And second to that was Not Even a Mouse, which I'm really very happy. Those were my two favorites. I do love my Angel Mother. And I think that might have been third, but I'm not sure. I love the fact that those were the details that my husband and my sister, they could give me all the data. And I am not a data person by any means. So they were able to, like Randy, this is his thing. This is his element. He's just huge into all this. He was able to tell me about a sales on Saturday, when, how they happened, the data that was connected to that, which it didn't mean a whole lot to me. But when you hear that, maybe you were making a sale every 10 minutes, because that's what he said. On Saturday, you made a sale every 10 minutes. So it gives you an idea of what that steady flow was like. When you're standing in an empty room and 10 minutes goes by, it can feel like a long time. And you just didn't want to, you didn't want to take a break or sit down too much, because you're there to greet people and share your stuff. So it was interesting to hear some of the data that came back. But anyway, since I wanted to share with you, this is my other woolen flax. This is something that my mom had kitted years ago and gave it to me. I've always loved it, and I've always loved the verse. And so this is not where my design came from or the inspiration. It's just I knew I wanted a cross stitch that would say the same thing. So this is my wool applique version of woolen flax. And you can see like my little sheep over there. I've done in French knots, and all of this is wool applique. And so it was in my kitchen, and I thought while it was down, I would share it with you. It is absolutely one of my favorite verses ever, and I'm sure y'all can imagine why. I mean, we all love our needlework. So, okay, at some point, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Friday in the morning, I had went down for something, and I ran into Barbara, Stitching with Grammy, thank you, and SWG is her new name she's going by, Stitching with Grammy. She is the one in Michigan who is putting on the Great Lakes Gathering retreat on Lake Huron that I am going to be the featured designer, which still is so exciting and blows my mind. So we've had some really fun information filter in about this retreat, this gathering. It is really taking on a life of its own, and it is slowly becoming maybe a retreat for designers. I know for a fact that we have a couple of actual designers that are hoping to attend, and I know that one has certainly committed. And when that's announced by Barbara, I will go ahead and announce too. But I'm just going to tell you, it adds a little element of fear, and at the same time, excitement, overwhelming excitement. Because for me to stand up and present what I have as a pattern to an actual, very well-known designer, yeah, that puts a little bit of, anxiousness in. But when I ran into Barbara, she gifted me with one of her project bags. She makes project bags for retreats and stitch-ins and all those kind of things. And so her bags are phenomenal, and they're so well made. And this, oh my gosh, I love this fabric so much. And it kind of, I'm working on a blue theme going on in here. So how beautiful. And her bags are so well made. And then it's got one of these. I love the red rickrack, and I love this fabric. She also, I've never had one like this. I have had other smaller wool thread keeps. I don't know if it's a thread catcher, thread something, but hers is like a little wallet, a little companion wallet, and I know she's got a name for it. If you look up on her website, you would see it. But it has 2 snaps, and then it opens up, and check that out. So you can put things here. Oh, here's her card. See? She's so organized. Stitching with Grammy, Stitching and Designs. So what a sweet gift. What a sweet gift. It was so great to see her. And these are so nice, and they're all cushy. Really nice. Okay, so that was that. And I know I ran into her downstairs. It's funny, I remember where I ran into them. So let me start putting things aside as I go through Nashville. Okay. One of the things I wanted to get down to was at the end of my floor was Weeks Dye Works, and I had wanted to check on their fabric. I thought, knowing now and doing models and all of that, if I could find myself a yard of fabric that I loved and grab it then, that would be something good to go do. So I went down to Weeks, and I introduced myself, and I learned some things about Weeks Dye Works, and of course they had their beautiful hand-dyed wool and all their floss. So I was able to get a sample of all their new colors that Weeks Dye Works has. I can share with you, hold on a second here. They're put in here so nicely. But the first one is Sun Dried. It's a beautiful deep red. And then there's Apple Pucker, which I got to tell you, this looks like, and I can see why. Oopsie. It looks like the Jolly Ranchers green with the sour apple. There. So cool. Winnie B. Blue. Winnie B. Blue. A little bit, I'm not sure if you're getting the right color on that. There you go. Almost matches my couch color. Really pretty. A little lighter, and this one is a little darker. This one is called Mountain Mist, and this is definitely more my style. It's definitely a nice colonial blue. So I really like that one that Weeks put out. And this one is called Chia, just like chia seed, and it's a beautiful gray. Really pretty gray. A little bit lighter than a slate gray, but not by much. So really, really pretty new colors. And then I grabbed fabric, and it is, I got a yard of it. 1 second here. Put these in here, and it is mocha. So it's a little darker, but ooh, that is so pretty. That is so pretty. I got one other one, but I got another yard, and I believe it was Weeks Dye Works Platinum. Gorgeous. And something is already getting stitched on it. So I handed over the whole yard to the model stitcher just in case. But this is, I know in the past there were maybe some people didn't enjoy always stitching on a Weeks base. This is so soft. So whatever they've done, as someone who stitches in hand, I like it. I mean, I like it. So I thought, what a rich color. So that is Weeks Dye Works Mocha, and I'm excited to use that. Okay, so I had done something, I had designed something cute once I knew that I was going to Nashville, because you know how Matilda is. When Matilda gets to travel, you know, it's pretty special. So I designed Matilda Goes to Nashville, and it was, it's really cute. It's really, really cute. It's not been stitched unless someone's stitching it now, but my dad had a great idea, and I thank him, you know, for this one, because my mind was really quite busy at the time. I had mentioned this, and my sister was like really excited about it, and ultimately, as a team, we all decided that what a wonderful gift it would be to give this pattern to the shops that purchased from my shop. So it was for them. It was a gift. It was a reminder of their trip to Nashville. So anybody in their group, because of course each shop has their helpers. So I can at least show you what the picture is. You're not going to get the overall feel because it's not stitched up, but basically I wanted you at least to see a peek. And right now it is something that was just gift special to those that visited my shop and purchased. So this is Matilda Goes to Nashville, and you can see Matilda is riding side saddle on a horse. She's got the Grand Ole Opry behind her and a guitar, and it's nice because you're able to take the date off. Again, I try to make these where you can change it out yourself. You can change Matilda's dress. She does have cowboy boots on because every girl in Nashville should. And apparently she's, you know, out on the town. But it was a really sweet idea, and I'm so glad that we did, because we got a lot of really nice comments and feedback about them being treated to a pattern. So that's Matilda Goes to Nashville. Now, the very first night, Friday night, we did not go into downtown. However, I did pack my cowboy boots. My sister packed her cowboy boots, and we did get into town and went to Jason Aldean's. I did share a picture of her and I, and we had a good time, and boy did it feel good to just kind of get out of the hotel. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, standing for that long does get, I don't know why that's so exhausting, but it is. And so it was so nice to just sit and have a nice meal, and we got to hear some really good music, and that is the first time that I've ever been to downtown Nashville. So it was an experience on its own. I went for my first Uber drive or ride. That was interesting. I've never done that before, but worked out really well, and we did not have to think about where we were going and just got to relax. So that was a whole lot of fun, and I wasn't sure if I'd get up and dance, but by the time we were done with dinner, we got to stand in front of the singers that were there and the band, and we danced and had a good time, and we're ready to do it all over the next day. So okay, let's see here. I wanted, when I did get out on Saturday, I think it was Saturday, I came across, I had a couple of shops I knew I wanted to hit. If I passed one that was intriguing that I'd never heard of, I did pop in. I have never heard of Under the Garden Moon, and I don't know if she does all wool, but you can find her at underthegardenmoon.com, and I will definitely go shop again. She had the cutest wool applique things. Oh my gosh. So the picture's not going to do it any justice, but there is nothing better than getting something already kitted up, especially with wool, because if you don't have a big stash of wool, this works out great. So I ended up buying, oh, I know, I went on Sunday, so she was out of a couple of things. There was one of a shepherd boy that was so cute, and she was sold out. The one she did have, she had it laying on the table like a table runner, and it's called Oh Holy Night. Her name is Amy McClellan, and let's see here. So it's just a beautiful nativity scene, and this picture is not going to do it any justice, but when you get it to wool, oh my gosh, it was so pretty. So I did pick that up, and that was part of my haul. My sister and I wanted to try and do a wool project this year, and I know Tina, Team Egner, she does some beautiful wool work and wool applique. So that was kind of a fun treat for myself, and I really hope that by the end of 2023 or by Christmas I would have that accomplished. Okay, I met not only Jean from the attic, but I also met, I always call her Stash Sisters, but also met Miss Flossie. So I got to meet kind of like the whole gang was all there. So that was really cool. And later on, Miss Flossie stopped by and gave me the sweetest little pin cushion. Of course, our favorite tomatoes, another one to add to the collection. And how sweet of her to stop by and make an extra little effort when you're at market and gift somebody something. So that was really sweet. It was so nice to be able to meet them all, and they are, quite a team that Jean has going on. And okay, so I'm so getting there. Okay, I went in and I met Primrose Cottage, adorable. Her Christmas display this year was so cute. I had not ordered for myself quite a bit, and I wish I would have picked up her Christmas one. She has kind of like, it's not Christmas rules, but it's kind of like that, and it's got a wood frame with a bow, and I know y'all know what I'm talking about, but it was so nice to meet her and so nice to talk to her, and she gave me a sweet little tote bag, so my soul is fed with needle and thread, and this worked out really handy to put some goodies in. But you know, there are some that just touched my heart, and you know, and she did. Some made just went the extra mile to make me feel at home and welcome, and she was definitely one of them. And it was so nice to actually meet her in person, even if for just 5 minutes, because that's about what you get. There was data that was shared from Needlework Retailer, and I don't know if it's been around. I'm sure it probably has, but these shops have 8 minutes. If they're going to go to every shop at Market, they have 8 minutes inside each shop. That's not very much time, but I kid you not, that's about what it, you know, that is how fast they're moving. And some have their plan of attack, and it was just interesting to see how they were getting it done. So methodical, and some just knew they've done it for years. I think Miss Jean said this was her 30th year. I mean, oh my gosh, she's a legend, just a legend. Okay, so more haul. One of them I had to stop in. Last year, Market released. I had not gotten it. I saw her pattern. I fell in love with it. I'll share it with you in a second. And I was praying that I would get to Market this year. And so I didn't buy it because I thought my sister loves books. When we did our half marathon, she was dressed as Belle, and it was perfect for her. So she loves to read. And when I saw this pattern come out, I thought it was so perfect. So I stopped in at Silver Creek Samplers, and I picked up last year's. This is Mary Rotter's spelling lesson, and I had her, the designer. Oops. Oh, there you go. I had the designer autograph it for both mine and my sister, because you know I did it too. So I cannot wait for fall stitching. I love her with her glasses on, and she was so cute. So it was such a pleasure to meet Diane. And I met her husband, and she had a beautiful display of all her stuff. She's got some of the most cute patterns ever. So this was another blessing to me. It was just to be able to pop in and be able to grab something I really wanted a year ago and had the patience to wait for it, hoping I would actually get to meet her and have her sign it. So this is definitely going to be in my fall stitching. So that was that. Okay, then let me show you, take a little break here, and let me show you my 2 FFOs I got back. Right before Market, I dropped off both my red work samplers. One that was done before, and that was Christine by Whilst Iris Naps. The other one I had been stitching with y'all and shared, and it was Chessie and Me. So you will see the nails and the gap right there, and that's where these sit. So I pulled them down to share with you today, and I had needed to fill in like this whole little like section here by the chairs when we moved things around. So this is Chessie and Me, Mabel Lee. And I love it. I do not usually use matting, but you will see why I did when I share with you oopsie, sorry about the glare. I don't know what I was thinking. I do know what I was thinking, but I had changed directions with the other one and decided to get it framed, and then I realized something. But either way, I'll finish with this one and then you're going to get it. But I absolutely love this deep burgundy matte. So that's Mabel Lee by Chessie and Me. And then, let me see if I can get this one over there. I have had this done for a while. I did it a couple of years ago, and I always had it just laying across an antique desk, an antique, like a primitive desk, and I just draped it there. And that's when I stitched it, that's the plan I had for it. And then I thought, geez, it's time to change that out, and I'm going to get a frame now because now I have 3 red works. The other one is up I can't get my finger up there to save my life. Okay. This, what? Okay, that's ridiculous. I can't get my finger to do. Use your other hand, Chris. Okay. Anyways, that's a Hands Across the Sea redwork. So this is Florence May Piggin, 1889, and this is a Chessie and, sorry, the other one's a Chessie and me. This is Whilst Iris Naps. Now, here's what happened. Let's see if I can get my finger to do this way. When I was stitching this for the desk, I didn't leave myself enough of a border for framing. So as I was sitting there, having Mike work with me on the framing of this, it dawned on me, there's nothing for you to wrap. There's nothing for you to pin, hardly. There's a little bit, but so the only way I could get this to where I could put glass on it, put it in a frame, and eventually, obviously, I would like to have a redwork wall, was if we used a mat. And so I made a match, and I am really pleased with it. I really, really love the finish. Sorry about the glare. So that is Florence May Piggin. And it was such a fun stitch. That one is all red. The Chessie and me had a little bit of DMC gray. Loved them both. And I'm so excited to have three redworks now. Okay, back to market. So those were ready when I got home. It was like, a big treat. The whole thing was a huge treat. Okay, so another one I stopped in at that I've just admired for a while is Bent Creek. Stopped in, said hi. It was always nice to share my story. Several asked, I know if their shop was empty, I could stay a little bit longer. And another special moment shared between designers. And so I did pick up two. And the first one is Spooky Row. So cute. And one of her new releases is Fright. And I thought that was adorable. So, more Halloween. And I got it in a little Bent Creek bag. She's got a little marker on her bag. There. Oopsie. Oh, there's white in there. But so cute. More haul. So that was fun. Okay, one shop I wanted to share that I didn't get in, but there was a flyer, and I couldn't find it, but they had some really cute charms and embellishments, and it's called By Jupiter. So I wish I could have got there. I don't know if anybody else has ever heard of them, but it was actually, it says, Out of This World Charms, the Perfect Embellishment. She's got a line of 1,500 charms available, and it just looked really cute. The flyer did. So this is what it was. I never made it to the shop, but you might want to check it out. So I was just sharing it with you just in case. All right, now we're getting there. We're getting there. I met so many people, but I really enjoyed walking into another semi-newbie. She's been doing this a little bit longer than me for sure, and she started designing, but she started with the thread milk. This is her thread milk designs. It was so nice to meet these ladies. Absolutely very talented and just so welcoming and warming, and it was so fun. So she autographed her Florida. I love her state. She's got some primitive stuff, and I just fell in love with a couple of things, and I love her tombstones. So I just think it's so cool, whether it's for Halloween or history, whatever it is. But I got, for the Bowl Series Liberty Lodge, let's see if I can get this. They're basically tombstones of a historic nature. So you have, let me get my glasses on here. You have John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe, Calvin Coolidge. And there you go. But I love that. And I mean, who doesn't love, I love stitching letters, but how great is that going to be, whether it's on a tree or in a bowl or whatever. And then I got the Statehood Splendor, the 37th one, which was Florida, In God We Trust. And this one she signed for me. So I love that, and I can't wait to stitch it. Both of them. Okay, so there's so much. Okay, I met, if you are in Atlanta, Georgia, in that area, I met a mother-daughter team called Celtic Sisters. They started something new. Her name is Kathy Fitzpatrick, and they are going to open up a shop. So you can get information. Her website is info@CelticSistersNeedlework.com. They are going to be they are in Alpharetta, Georgia. Alpharetta, I think that's how you say it. But anyways, look out for a new shop coming your way. There's a picture of them with me that'll be on my website. But super sweet ladies, and I think that'll be exciting for the state of Georgia or Atlanta area stitchers. Celtic Sisters. So I wanted to give them a shout out. They were super nice, spent some good time in my shop. Another one, I just absolutely fell in love with these two ladies. Hold on one second here. Let me find the other one. Okay. These two ladies came in and were so sweet, so helpful. I first listened to Abby, and we had a meeting. So shop owners had a meeting on Friday before everything started at noon. It was so informative, and I just sat back and took notes and just listened, and it was really helpful. But one of them that spoke up was this top knot stitcher, and she shared some good information from a shop side, not a designer side, but a shop side, and that was helpful. What was helpful in an email when designers have something new. So that was really cool. And she's super sweet. And when she stopped by the shop, we got a chance to talk, and her name is Abby. So she is a designer as well and an owner. And she has Top Knot Stitcher Shop, and she is in California. So maybe check out Top Knot Stitcher Shop. And her friend that came in with her was Wild Violet Cross Stitch. Wild Violet Cross Stitch has some PDF patterns, and she has novelties and merchandise. She was so sweet, and she spent so much time with me sharing what she uses when designing off of a tablet. And I tell you, people are so giving in this community. She literally ran back up to her room, got her tablet, shared with me all of this stuff, and it's just generous when you give of your time like that in the middle of market. So these two ladies were super nice, super encouraging, and it was such a hoot. I think I loved, Jeremiah's Jeremiah and Matilda's Matilda, and I really thought I would be designing, I don't know, more of his history, primitive, colonial. But I get more people come in and absolutely love Jeremiah, and they absolutely love Matilda, and I'm so glad that I just am designing what comes out and is authentic to me, because if I learned anything at market, I learned that there's a place for Jeremiah and there's a place for Matilda's, and it means there's a place, for me. It was nice to see the variety of stitching, designing, and crafts that are out there. So it felt so good when someone would come in the room and maybe never knew me or didn't know Matilda, and they would spot her. Or they would spot Jeremiah, and it was always fun to just listen kind of in the background. I mean, you're in the same room, but you're letting them do their shopping. And I think out of everything, I walked away with a greater sense of there's room in this market for me, and for all my critters and all those things. And it was just fun to see these places come in that I had never seen my stuff and fall in love with the series of Jeremiah and all those things. And Halloween, there's definitely an ample amount of those that loved, Witch Beulah and Beulah and Greta, coffee, all of those things that we all have a common thread, or us Stitchers do. And that felt really good to me. That was I think one of the most important pieces I took away from Market, was just being yourself and designing the things that you love, and those that love that will find you. So it was just really sweet. I met the Golden Needle. There were plenty of opportunities for next year or the remainder of this year that I am excited to share as business opportunities as they come down and evolve. So I'm excited about that. I walked next door. I think I was right next door. Or skipped one. But one of my neighbors was Yarn Tree. The other neighbor I had was Summer House Stitchworks. Now, I wanted to stop in and say hi to her because I listened to a podcast with Beth Ann. Her name is Beth from Summer House Stitchworks. She's a beautiful designer. She's got like a graphics background, so she's very particular about her houses and designs them beautifully. What I wanted her to know was, I just thought that her authentic way of sharing on that podcast, her story and how it started, it really did impact me. So I wanted to make sure I stopped in and saw her and shared that with her. And then right next to her was, let me grab it, Janice, and she is the Noteworthy Needle. And we all know her from Expo. These two ladies sitting there next to each other had a wealth of information, and if I hadn't gone in their shop, I wouldn't have met them, and I wouldn't have learned what they had to share. Their wisdom and maturity came through, and they took the time to talk to me. So I wanted to make sure that I thanked both of them for that special time that they shared with me, because Market is very, very busy, obviously. So worked out great that we could just share, and I feel like it's always important to let those know if they've impacted you, to let them know that. So that was really special for me to have that 5 minutes. Okay, so my sister and I had a good old time. I knew that my good friend Kathy Purdon from Australia was coming with an Australian cross stitch shop, A Stitch in Time. The owner is named Carolyn. We had such a good time with these two ladies, guys. I have known Kathy on Instagram for 8 years, but never met in person. And here she flies over from Australia with her good friend and the shop owner, and we just had this great connection and laughed and had such a good time. We toasted with a special drink. It was just a great mix of the four of us. There's talk of, heading to Australia for 2024. I don't know. It definitely, me, if you followed me on my FlossTube, you know that doing this, not only stepping outside my comfort zone, but, leaving Philip at home and all those things, it's not always the easiest to do. And I already know I have StitchCon coming up, so I felt like this is embarking on something very new for me, and I want to feel comfortable every step of the way as best I can. But it was fun because, boy, they make, I want to go there. And we got laughing about next year already, and we're going to go a day ahead of time, and just a fun group. So maybe if you're in Australia, or maybe if you shop, you could check out her shop, Carolyn's, in Australia. She is, so it's called Sandy Bay. So I don't know too much about the area, but check out astitchintime.net. and her name is Carolyn Packer. So we had a really good time with them, laughing. And anyways, friends are so awesome, so important, and so awesome. All right, I ran into Barbara from Keepsakes Cross Stitch. I loved it when she walked in my shop, and when Steph walked in, I felt right at home. Certain faces just made me feel like a comfort zone, and that was Steph for me. So when she came in on Sunday, just again, there was this closing moment that was wrapped all around Sunday for me. I had done it. We were successful. Everything that I'd been working on since January was coming to an end. And let me tell you something, when you get home, there's like this lull, like you don't know where to go. You've been doing this for a while now. It was your everyday, like checking in, priority, all that kind of stuff. And so it was just, it was weird when you get home. All of a sudden you're like, whew, okay. All right, big news was, this is just so much happened. The day before we left, I got pre-orders. We're still coming in. I felt so blessed, and I thought they were done. And I love how this is how things work. I was all done. The car was like, literally, I felt like we were picking up the car the next day, and so there would be no more pre-orders. And I came out from getting Philip settled in for bed, and I thought, I'm going to stitch. This is it. I'm going to stitch. Pre-orders got to be done. People are traveling. And my husband goes, well, we've got a couple of pre-orders. I'm like, really? I thought people would be so busy and gone. He's like, no. So we had one that was smaller and then one from 123 Stitch. I'm not going to lie, guys. I've had some milestones on this journey, and that was one of them. I love 123 Stitch. I know I literally have shopped there for the last several years. Off and on, and I thought that was a huge milestone that 123 Stitch had placed a pretty nice order, and now my patterns are out at 123 Stitch. So check out, I'll make sure that my sister's got the website updated for you, but you can now find market releases at 123stitch.com. So that was like I don't know, it was just a moment. It was a huge moment to me. We just have our personal goals, and that was one of them. So anyways, all right, back to, I did not know, because I think I was a little out of the loop, that Two Tall Stitchers, they have a FlossTube. They are so great to watch, and they walked in the door, and I did not know that they opened up shop, and how wonderful for them. So make sure, if you are on social media or Instagram, that you check out the FlossTube Two Tall Stitchers, and I'm sure that you will get some feedback, but they were there shopping for their shop. And it was so fun to meet them, and I had gotten, they had, some stickers that they were passing out, so I love this kind of stuff. And they are tall, but they're just beautiful inside and out, super sweet. I had so much fun. Okay, I think I had a couple more things, and then we're going to close this out, and I wish I had more stitching to show you, but I'm glad that I got to sit down, record. My daughter Olivia is supposed to come down for the day, and I'm excited about that. So I had one that this caught my eye when we put everybody, it's kind of like I've watched them do it before, but the banners that you hang in the middle of the atrium. I learned that apparently it's the first thing you do. It's almost one of the first things you do when you get there. It's kind of like your way of saying, I'm here. And I could tell it was important. So my sister took care of that for me, which was wonderful. And we got it out there, and I happened to look up above where we were, and it was the Black Cauldron Dye Works. It's the cutest little image. And so I had to know what it was. Was it floss? Was it fabric? So I made it up to the third floor, and I think they were on the third floor, but either way, I made it up, and I passed them. I'm like, oh, there they are. So I popped my head in, and it's fabric. And she had some really cool opalescence. So it's called Black Cauldron Dye Works. Let me see if there's a Black Cauldron Dye Works at gmail.com. And as we're talking, come to find out, they're in Windermere, Florida. They're like by Orlando. So I will definitely be grabbing some of their fabric. And there was one color, I think it was called Whiskey. Oh my gosh, that was gorgeous gold. Really cool, really interesting. Check them out. But I love their little logo. It reminded me of obviously of Beulah and everything else, but it was super cute. I also met the Crafty Framer. This is Rick and Peggy, and they are in Largo, Florida. I've never been there. I do think they do some needlepoint as well, but between the Crafty Framer, Black Cauldron, Cross Stitch Cupboard down in Fort Lauderdale, I believe, I know that I'm going to do, I've got some future meet and greets. I know for Philip and I, we could make it to the Crafty Framer, I think it's about an hour and a half. It was really nice to network with some local places as well. So anyways, so many special moments. There was one goal I had shared with my sister before we even left, and she created a I'm trying to think of what it was called at the moment, but it was just one piece of paper that shared all of my market releases, and it had the wholesale price, all that kind of stuff. And so she created it for me because I'd mentioned walking around and wanting to network, and so she made sure when I left the room that I had that with me and kept me organized. And she knew as a personal goal that I wanted to introduce myself to Hoffman Distributing. And you know, anytime you put yourself out there like that, there's some nerves, and I know they're huge. So I just told her when I was there, it was my chance to hopefully be able to introduce myself and my designs to them and just knock on the door and find out how does one, you know, have their designs available through Hoffman. And so I did that, and I ran into Colorado Cross Stitcher, who was picking up stuff. Hoffman had the Blackbird designs available, as well as the Prairie Schooler New Santa that came out. So as I listened and learned, and it was fun to see Sherry and all of that, but when the room was quiet, I was able to introduce myself to the gentleman there who represents Hoffman, and I shared my piece of paper that my sister created, and he said, I love your stuff, so let's work together. And when I left Market, that was probably one of the hugest other goals that I met while I was at Market, and I felt incredibly blessed with the entire experience. So thankful that Philip's time was safe when I was gone, that traveling for everybody was safe. I know that there were some people that had hiccups with traveling, and snow and flights delayed, and I felt awful, but overall, a phenomenal experience. So blessed. So much stitchy greatness that just overwhelmed me at times. And more than anything, just a really cool journey to take with my family, and especially have my sister by my side. And with that being said, I'm going to clean this up, finish painting my family room, spend some time with my daughter today, and I think that by tonight I'll be back stitching on something other than a Prairie Schooler. I don't know I love a Prairie Schooler, but I'm glad that I was able to get on here, record a FlossTube, share as much as I possibly could. There's so much more, and I know that I probably missed people that I met because it was kind of constant, but like I said, it was when you sit down with a bowl of oatmeal next to Judy Whitman of JBW Designs, next to Annabella's, who is next to Erica Michaels, and it was good. It was good. It filled my soul. So good. So with that being said, guys, I hope you have a great week. I hope you have fun stitching. I hope you start to pick up your market releases that you ordered. Mine are on display at Brick City Cross Stitch. And I just, I pray you have a good week. Smile and happy stitching. And don't forget to floss. Bye, guys.